Jumping off the billion-dollar success of Aquaman, DC have an action-packed 2019 ahead. With 2 live-action movies, a host of animated features, and an endless stream of TV content coming up, the future is certainly looking bright. Problem is, we've been burned before, several times. But as huge DC fans, we doopies are optimistic they can finally make a proper go of things. To convince everyone else, though, they're gonna need a big year. So, what's DC doing differently this time around?
We're tempted to say Zack Snyder's out of the picture and leave it at that, but we'll refrain. First and foremost, the appointment of Walter Hamada as president of DC Films appears to have steadied the ship. Hamada's track record at New Line speaks for itself, having exec-produced a number of highly successful horror films, including the highest-grossing horror movie ever. Hamada also had a hand in the Conjuring movies, which are technically their own shared universe, where he worked with none other than Aquaman director James Wan.
Now, DC have tried and failed at shared universes already. Even with its heaviest of heavy hitters, it's backfired pretty spectacularly. Aquaman's a continuation of that universe, and even if it wasn't a huge step forward in terms of quality, it's turned a massive profit for what's essentially one of the lamest superheroes. But that's kind of the point. This was a production unscathed by dramatic U-turns and last-minute reshoots. Under the new leadership, directors are trusted to explore their visions fully, and it's this kind of consistency that builds success long-term. Speaking of which, Aquaman did pretty spectacular ticket sales. Not only is he king under the sea, he's king of the overseas box office too. Specifically in that place where all the plastic crap that pollutes his kingdom is made.
On the surface, it seems to be a bit of a fluke. I said fluke, not flute mirror. Whereas many movies deliberately pander to Chinese audiences, with many shoehorning in scenes actually shot there, Aquaman did no such thing. The Chinese, it seems, love movies featuring aquatic creatures. On top of this, the movie benefited from a perfect storm of factors. It scored an early release in the territory at an optimal time between Venom and Spider-Verse. James Wan has an established talent for making tons of money in China, and crucially, there's lots of action and CGI. There's a reason why otherworldly, effects-driven movies like Transformers do well in the Chinese market, and it ain't down to the witty dialogue.
Outside its Chinese success, the film tested very well with female audiences. Nothing at all to do with that big bag of muscles Jason Momoa, right? With their target primed, Warner's used its stars and social media to tap into a demographic of lustful 30-something moms, with some interesting hashtags trending as a result. Studio smarts or horny parents, who could say for sure. Either way, the film played well across the board, and compared with the likes of BVS, it's certainly a lot lighter in tone and more family friendly. Even if its domestic ticket sales have been modest, there's been no need for fan protests and multiple viewings this time. And get this, Momoa actually appears to enjoy engaging with fans and doing those oh so necessary and endless press tours, which makes for consistently positive coverage online.
The question now is, can this be replicated for future films? Next up is Shazam. Its man-child body swap premise is definitely marketable to teens and families alike, and is a concept somewhat unique in the ever-competitive superhero landscape. Not so sure the mums are going to be as interested in inflatable muscles though. The Joker, meanwhile, is a totally different beast. Word is it'll be R-rated and set outside regular continuity in its own alternate reality, which could open up new opportunities yet to be explored even in the MCU. Parallel dimensions might give DC the ability to make changes movie to movie based on audience tastes, rather than going all in from the get-go. You know, what they should have done from the start. Point is, there's plenty to explore in DC's alternate universe roster. Joker has been garnering tons of interest online, and it will be a true test to DC's resolve if it sticks with the R rating. It'd be a damn shame to have another watered down turd on our hands.
Against all odds, Fox has paved the way for R-rated CBM success, so these types of movies definitely have a market. The problem is, ironically, getting the right balance for securing a Chinese release. Chinese regulators are notorious for demanding certain cuts or additions, and sometimes deny a release altogether, like with Suicide Squad and Christopher Robin, but that's a whole nother story. Interestingly, late in 2018, Chinese regulators, now under the management of the propaganda department, which sounds great, approved a number of additional movies to ensure it hit economic targets, despite strict rules on quotas. So, given that Joker debuts later in the year, Warner's might yet be able to squeeze through a version of the film and lock in some oh-so-lucrative renminbi.
It would be remiss of us not to mention DC's big three, the Trinity, the Martha, her son, and the holy coincidence, Batman! Wait, that's not it. Wonder Woman was a worldwide sensation, proving female-led CBMs could actually work. Imagine our shock! People like something other than Batman and Superman? Rumours have been swirling that the Batman will begin filming in November, but no official release dates have been set for either Superman or Batman's return. But maybe this is a good thing? It's not like Bats and Supes appearing together for the first time set the world on fire or anything. Shit, Aquaman has outgrossed every DC movie apart from The Dark Knight Rises, which it will inevitably move past. Aquaman, for Christ's sake! Ben and Henry may be popular in the roles, we love them, but it seems there's more interest in other Justice League members.
If Marvel have been leading the way on the big screen, DC is the dominant force on the small screen, and 2019 is showing no signs of slowing. The massively successful, but sometimes cirky Arrowverse is likely adding a Batwoman series by the end of the year, meaning only one thing:
even more diversity.
And let us not forget the recently launched DC Universe streaming service. If you were wondering why all those DC titles have been pulled from Netflix and Hulu, here's your answer. In truth, it's done terrible numbers, but it has allowed for the revival of Young Justice and a deeper mining of lesser-known DC properties, with Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing series both coming this year. Last but not least, we have 4 animated movies on their way via the same streaming service. DC have, let's say, a mixed record with animated movies, so let's hope we get more under the red hood and less Killing Joke in 2019.
Honestly, DC might still struggle to match Marvel for quality on the big screen, and we have more than a few reservations about some of these upcoming projects. But given the new leadership, DC's growing marketing prowess, and the backlog of interesting new characters, at least we won't be getting flops. Aquaman has been a much needed proof of concept, even though it won't be winning any awards for acting, or writing, or editing, and certainly not visual effects. The movie's monetary success bodes well for both studio and audiences, and doubling down on their own distribution network can only be a good thing long term, just as soon as they get some new members.
Coming back to the overarching DCEU, it remains to be seen how they fold in what's gone before, but things are definitely moving in the right direction at long last. It should also be noted that several of the key players in Flashpoint will have been established by the end of 2019, so they might even be able to tackle the long gestating adaptation sometime soon, which means they could ultimately change the continuity and finally give Ezra the solo movie he so desperately needs. For a Flash that everyone hates. Seriously, check out the comments on this video if you don't believe us.
Thanks for watching this video, folks. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to have a chat, providing you're not a total D-bag. And if you're living in an alternate future where somehow our predictions were wrong, feel free to point it out in the comments below.